1 in 3 American women
and equal rights for women in the United States
have been found guilty of raping a West Virginia teenager.
Misogynist rantings would be at home in the far-reaching internet subculture widely described as the men's rights movement.
Declaring the month of October to be Bash a Violent Month.
I decided to go where no feminist has gone before and meet these men's rights activists.
Men and boys are in crisis and they need your support because they are human beings too. And you will not shame anybody here into silence about it anymore.
Every society survived based on its ability to train its sons to be disposable.
The U.S. government does not want to send you to die. They'd rather send me to die.
93% of workplace fatalities are men. 4 of 5 suicides.
The family court system truly is biased against men. I mean, there's just no question about it.
How can anybody not be angered by it? But if you start to talk about those issues, people get hostile.
You are f***ing scum.
We're somehow disempowered because we're white men. Maybe it's just because you're pathetic.
The paradigm that most people live by. Men have all the power. Women don't make the same money for the same work. That is feminist training.
Flexibility in roles is where we should be all headed.
So where do the men's movement and feminism disagree?
Is the men's rights movement the gender version of the white nationalist movement?
The men's rights movement is part of the backlash. Grandfather's generation probably had it pretty well, you know, grow up.
She told her friend she's going to trick me into fathering the child.
I called a bunch of domestic violence shelters. Every place said, we don't help men.
When I reported my domestic assault, I did not bring up the fact that I was sexually assaulted. There was no way he was going to believe that I was going to be a victim of sexual assault.
All the evils of the world's from patriarchy, but we're the ones dying, and we die for you guys.
I don't know where I'm headed, what I believe.
This is not flattering to men to talk about men's vulnerabilities.
We're not blaming men. We just named everything bad after them.
I think I agree with everything you said, but there's still some kind of unsettling doubt.
Talk about great work, and of course Mike Cernovich is involved in this film as well. That is just so exciting. He'll be hosting the 4th hour today. I'm going to go to our guest here in just a moment. But I just want to point out that it's so ridiculous. It's like saying, are male and female whales oppressing each other? Or are male and female toucans, like who's bad, the male toucan or the female toucan? You're like, no, those are birds. That's a species. And, you know, the male goes off and gets worms and stuff and fruit and brings it back to the mom. It's not that she's a slave. She's having the eggs. She's sitting on top of them. And men don't have a uterus. Women do. It's the species. Men and women are the species. And this hasn't been done by accident. The social engineers admit they want to totally scramble things. They knew when they started saying women go to work and pay taxes and don't give your kids, you know, breast milk, that they were trying to remove women from the family so that the family could be terminated and so that a whole new civilization could be set up. Humans are being turned into machines. Does that not mean there aren't cultures where men end up oppressing women? Of course, it's like ants go out and, you know, hijack and kidnap aphids and then bring them down into their subterranean lairs and, you know, enslave them. This stuff goes on. But you have to look at the whole process. You have to look at the whole process and see how it's scientific and then pull back from it and see how they're atomizing us all. They're all isolating everybody. And men aren't going to college. Men are, in every metric, just imploding, falling apart. Is that like, yay, women are getting ahead? You know, there's a photo on drudgereport.com of like more than a decade ago of Rachel Maddow and Tucker Carlson on TV together. And Rachel Maddow looks like a woman. She looks cute. It's not bad if she wants to look like a man, but it's like they started getting Megyn Kelly to look like a man. It's like, what are they doing? The goal is to get rid of the sexes. Now they've got 100+ sexual preferences on Facebook. It's not about freedom. It's about attacking being male and being female. It's social engineering. So Cassie Jaye is a filmmaker based in San Francisco Bay Area and founder and CEO of Jane Bird Productions. I'm just so excited about this. She has directed and produced over a dozen films and documentaries, but is most known for her feature documentaries, Daddy I Do, about purity balls and abstinence pledges. I think of abstinence pledges the way your kids really go crazy. The Right to Love, an American Family, about the fight for same-sex marriage rights, and her latest film, The Red Pill, which examines men's rights movement. And again, that film is now out. She won 15 awards, including Best Documentary at the Cannes Independent Film Festival in France. And she joins us now, the redpillmovie.com. And again, winner of the Excellence in Directing documentary, just a whole bunch of other awards she's gotten. So, Ms. Jaye, good to have you on with us. Wow, what a powerful film. I can't wait to show it to my children.
Oh, thank you. I put a lot into 3.5 years of making The Red Pill, so I hope it helps people better understand the genders. Well, before making The Red Pill, I was a staunch feminist of about 10 years, and that really shaped the way that I looked at men and women, and making The Red Pill gave me new insight into the disadvantages that men have and the advantages that women have.
Break down your process, or just how the film started out, and then I mean, obviously you've seen the film, as you start to become, I guess, conflicted, trying to juxtapose all this.
Well, so it was March 2013. I was looking for my next film project. I just completed The Right to Love, which was about gay marriage before it was legal across the nation. And I thought I was going to make a film about rape culture because that was blowing up my newsfeed. And so I started looking into rape culture, and they commonly talk about rape apologists, and people who are perpetuating rape culture blame the victim. So I tried to find these rape apologists, and that led me down the Googling rabbit hole that took me to avoiceformen.com, which is one of the largest men's rights groups and forums online. And I was shocked by what I was reading on A Voice for Men. I'd never heard of these different talking points before, and also there had never been a film about the men's rights movement. And they really started to get going around the 70s, but they didn't catch wind like feminism, second wave feminism did. But Warren Farrell made or authored the book The Myth of Male Power in the 90s, and that led to a lot of these men's rights groups springing up, like A Voice for Men. So this had never been explored in a film before, and as a feminist, I thought, I'm going to go interview these men's rights activists and expose them for what they truly are. And I thought that was going to be showing the men who perpetuate rape culture and are misogynist and want to put women back in the kitchen barefoot and pregnant. And if you watch the Red Pill film, you'll see that the truth was not that.
Well, I know this. The globalists say they want to replace us all with robots. They say the future doesn't need us. Humanity itself is all breathing the same toxic garbage, the lead, the mercury. All of us, male, female. I have male family that dies of cancer, female family that dies of cancer. And, the species has to develop systems for ourselves. Just for me, I just don't even see any division. Clearly, in every mammal species, males take the risk, but females take the risk of then having the babies and going through all that stress. Females are stronger genetically. Females carry a second set of DNA. If you want to get into real genetic engineering, there's only females, and then females basically then produce some males with attributes for going out and foraging and then bringing back food. And then now we're in this more modern society. And so the attack on males is an attack on women, is an attack on the species by a scientific elite. I mean, if you study the larger picture, this is a very sophisticated.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Feminists have said that the men's rights movement is backlash to feminism. And I think in some ways that is correct because feminism and how it's grown and its prominence and kind of popularity, especially in the past 10 years with social media, it has defined what we should think about genders and when we should get offended, and such as if you say that
exactly, they're defining what genders are, and in reality, they're setting themselves up. It's not even women. The social engineers are setting themselves up as the new priesthood. It's a new religion.
Well, in a lot of ways, I would agree with you on that, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that. I'm even going to get flack for being on the show, but thank you for having me on.
That's a good thing.
But yeah, I also left a religion when I was in my late teens, and that's when I became feminist. And after making the Red Pill movie, I dropped the label of feminism, and in a lot of ways, I know this is going to, offend a lot of people, but in a lot of ways, my leaving a religion and also leaving feminism was a very similar experience for me. And so it does completely change your worldview, and that's why the film is called The Red Pill. I cannot see the world the same way again, and I don't think anyone who does watch the film can see the world the same way again.
Well, you just said it's so powerful because, it just clicked for me. Out of these false religions and controlled systems, we get self-confidence. But if you truly get into humanity and our great struggle and our ancestors and this great saga we've been through, that's the great empowerment. That's the confidence is coming together. And then I think the greatest wound to modern third-wave feminism is its endorsement of radical Islam. It's a total mental illness. I want to get your take on that. The lady that directed and produced all these other great folks, The Red Pill, is our guest. Very, very exciting. Cassie Jaye, The Red Pill movie. Cassie Jaye is our guest. Her film's been banned in theaters in Australia because she just dared go out and have humanity. Not woman, not male, just humanity. And look, let's get one thing straight. Men act like a bunch of lazy animals in an unchivalrous society. And humans have always abused each other. Women have abused men, women. Men have been, the warrior ants of the culture. But everything they do is about women, especially the greater men. And so the greatest deception is that we're not together. And the better a civilization, the more it treats women with reverence. But you see the West now. I mean, I was there just 6 months ago, the day after the inauguration, where they were beating everybody up trying to go in to hear Trump be inaugurated. And then we're not beating them up. And there are over 1 million women, and they were putting on hijabs and saying, we do this for Islam. And Muslims were leading it. And, I mean, Islam is should be feminist, enemy. But see, it's not about that. It's about authoritarianism. And it's about bringing down the West. And so I think modern feminism is the most wounded now, because they have bought into Islam. And so I want to go back to our guest and talk about this amazing film that Mike Cernovich is a producer on. That's what's so great about Mike. He's involved in so many great things. He's going to be hosting the next hour. What about the juxtaposing? This is a short segment, long segment coming up. What about the juxtaposing of Islam and feminism, modern corporate feminism not saying anything?
Well, this is obviously a touchy subject, and it's something I don't include in the film. I don't know if I could ever make a film about this topic because I do think it'd be too dangerous. But part of why I dropped the feminist label after making the Red Pill movie is actually the main reason why I dropped the feminist label was because I started to see the hypocrisy within feminism. So it wasn't necessarily learning about men's issues from men's rights activists that made me leave feminism. And I'm not a men's rights activist, just to clarify. But learning more about feminism and how they do want to silence discussion, and they are not consistent with their view of protecting and empowering women. And, I think their stance on Islam is, part of that.
Why is there, or unless you disagree, an obsession with pulling down the West in third wave feminism when the West is what put women on a pedestal almost to a ridiculous level? I mean, I agree. I don't want, a woman wants to be a tomboy, or a woman wants to be an executive, or a woman wants to, when women actually are drawn to those roles, it's genetic and they're the best at it. But in the main, women are nurturative and creative and, make the nest. And this is just what we do as a species. But I don't want them, I've got $3. If they want to be CEO, president, God, I'm all behind it. I mean, I'm a guy that likes women, period. I like the company of women, period. So this idea is an alpha male that I don't like women is the opposite.
Well, my personal view is that the reason feminism has chosen to protect Islam and not criticize it or critique it in any way is I think it's a part of being a voting bloc, because conservatives, especially in the U.S., have really stuck behind Christianity, and that's their voting bloc. And so while Democrats have sided with feminists, I think they also saw a big market for immigrants and Muslims and LGBT.
So it's a cold-blooded alliance.
You could say it like that.
Wow, where do you see this going then?
Gosh, well, it doesn't look like a very positive future if we keep down this path that we're going down. But I do hope that the red pill at least shows a more nuanced conversation around feminism and men's issues, and so that we can start to work together and point out the hypocrisies on either side. Also, something that I would like to mention is that the best result out of making the red pill movie was it positively influenced my relationship with my now fiance. We've been together 6 years, and so I was with him for 2 years before making the red pill movie, and then he stuck with me the entire making of the red pill, and our relationship has just gotten tenfold times better.
Absolutely. Yeah, the power of a man and woman combining forces and using each other's skills, it's the complete human. The humanity is the man and woman coming together. That's the magic. That's the power. And when that happens with those two forces together, it's the universe. It's the seed of the universe. It's life. It's God. I mean, that's what it is. And that's why these globalists want to destroy that, because they want full control. And when they get men and women fighting with each other, and men acting like lazy punks, and women being a bunch of, narcissistic loons, they're all so unhappy, so they dig their graves deeper into the modern cultural poison, believing that will deliver them from it when humanity was always there. Stay there. One of the executive producers, Mike Cernovich, of the film The Red Pill, what a great name. I'm thinking about I am launching a bunch of new shows. We're going to call it like Reboot America, American Reboot, Red Pill Adventures, roundtable shows, a bunch of things we've got in the hopper. Thanks to your support. But listen, we need your financial support. In fact, quite frankly, I should buy 5,000 or 10,000 of this film and sell it at InfoWarsStore.com. We haven't done that. We should do that. That's one way to fund our operation, is to actually sell the films and things we promote. But whatever you do, get the redpillmovie.com, because it shows both sides of this and the perspective of what women have gone through and what men have gone through. But it's a human experience as our species goes through all these changes and all these things that are happening, and then people are trying to artificially manipulate it for political control. It's a really important documentary. Really, really important. We have another film, The Good American, with William Benning. That's at InfoWarsStore.com. Everybody should get. But the Red Pill is something everybody needs in their library. You should get it, watch it, donate it to your local library so that people can see it. Because it's not dogmatic. It's just somebody's experience, common sense, looking at both sides. It brings us together, and I think that's why the social engineers masquerading as leftist are trying to shut it down. But IMDb gives it an unprecedented 3,470 votes and 8.8. Stanley Kubrick films barely get that. So my films get like 7s and stuff, which is pretty good. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, the Red Pill. As Alice falls down the rabbit hole to see what the old men are doing, this very criminal social engineers are up to. It's sick, so that's there. Please also understand that we sell water filtration, non-GMO heirloom seeds, shirts, Patriot apparel, high-quality supplements, freeze dryers from Harvest Right, discounted. When you buy products at InfoWarsStore.com, you're financing a global revolution against the technocrats and against dehumanization. And you see why they're attacking us. You get high-quality shampoo that's a brand name in Whole Foods for 20% off. Sign up for auto ship, an additional 25% off. That's 45% off. That's going to end next week, by the way. I got to stop doing that because it makes no money, basically. We got the organic deodorant. We've got it all there. We've got the fluoride-free toothpaste, Super Blue, with the colloidal silver and iodine. InfoWarsStore.com. And we've got Super Male Vitality and Super Female Vitality, which is basically the same formula. There's just a little bit of one other herb in the female. But people want to have male and female. That's fine. The truth is we're so close, it's the same thing almost. That's just concentrated herbs into an oil form libido, stamina, energy, you name it. I'm not going to get into the technicals of what these well-known herbs do. Just try it out for yourself. Infowarsstore.com. We've got the studies out there, of course, on what not having enough selenium does. We have the BioTrue from the mustard seed, totally pure, totally organic. That's 25% off with the X2. That's the good halogen. Look at what's happening to women. If women don't have iodine particularly, it really jacks them up. So, again, InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. And you see the full assault taking place against InfoWars. And that's because we're changing the world. We're returning Americana, which is the vanguard of Renaissance. It's not some old system. It's the reboot of humanity. We're just bringing back plagiarizing 1776 with pleasure. So, again, we need your support. I want to thank you all for your support. But today, go to InfoWarsStore.com. But regardless, spread the article, spread the video of the behind the scenes with Megyn Kelly. More's coming over the weekend. I think I'm going to release the interview she did with me beforehand. Because then after, they'll just play it and kind of ignore what she really said, what she really did, and how she edited it. I think I might do that. But we'll see. There'll be some live feeds this weekend. We're going to be breaking all down ahead of what is one of the top stories, if not the top story in the country. But going back to the director and the lady that is in the middle of this, of the film, the redpillmovie.com, Red Pill. Let's Cassie, go through your experience, because, you know, the classic thing is, I'm excited, I'm jumping in. Don't worry, I interrupt men even more than women, because I'm like a wild animal. But spend 10 minutes. You've got the floor. Give us a speech about your process, your life, the world, where you see it going.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so not only did making the Red Pill lead me down a path where I no longer call myself a feminist, but now I really do see through the mainstream media's tactics. And the process of releasing the Red Pill film really opened my eyes to how manipulated the people are being from the mainstream media. And men's rights activists told me while I was making the film that if you make an honest film, people will hate you for it. Feminists will hate you for it. The mainstream media won't give you, any kind of favorable coverage of this film. And they were right. And so, I made the truth of my journey, and that is the Red Pill film. And then I released it in theaters in October. The first article, mainstream article to come out was The Village Voice. And Alan Scherzel, the writer of that review, it was more of a rant. It wasn't a review of the film, but he set the stage on what the mainstream opinion about this film should be, and he included tons of misinformation and blatant fabricated lies about the film, saying that it was funded by MRAs, which it wasn't. It was funded actually by 3 self-identifying feminists at the time, myself, my fiance, and my mother. My mother's my producer, my fiance is the director of photography. And, they're trying to smear my name and the film's credibility, hoping that people won't watch it or think it's propaganda of some sort, and it's not. It simply listens to men's rights activists and to feminists and hears their different perspectives on gender, and the audience is allowed to make their own opinion and find some middle ground of any sort. It's not promoting any kind of movement or side. And so the Village Voice kind of set the stage on what the mainstream will think of this film or how they'll write it off. And after that, the American media, I think, has put a gag order on this film because they haven't released any more kind of mainstream coverage of the Red Pill movie since October.
And that's really your Congressional Medal of Honor right there. That's the certification when they put those blackout stories there.
Yes. But we've had a lot of success in discussions in other countries around this film. So the other territories that really know about this film and are talking about it are Canada, the UK, and Australia. And Australia in particular I'm going to focus on because they've engaged in the most censorship around the Red Pill film, where we had sold-out screenings at this theater chain called Dendy Cinemas, which is part owned by Mel Gibson. And we had sold-out screenings there, and feminists created petitions to tell Dendy that if you screen this film, we're going to pull all of our kind of, being a customer at your theater, so you need to pull the film. And so Dendy was, threatened into submission, and they pulled the 2 screenings there. Also, Palace Cinemas was under attack for screening, having a planned screening of the film. So Palace Cinemas.
This is so authoritarian. And again, I mean, your film is so well done, so balanced. The crime is you bring people together.
Yeah, and it's really not, it's not propaganda for any side. I'm very
but it doesn't matter. You have a right to put it in theaters. People have a right to go see it.
Yes, and I clearly see there's one side that is engaging in more silencing and censorship than any others, and that is the extreme regressive left, with feminists included, and extremist feminists, radical feminists. I don't think all feminists are like that, but the radical ones are the loudest and are going and creating these petitions and getting films removed from theaters. And I haven't heard of any other films in recent history that have had this many screenings pulled from theaters.
Well, they're scared of it because you and your fiance did such a great job, and your mom funding it, expanding on this. I just want to make this statement, have you continue, but I want to get this out here. The journey of humanity together as a species is all of our shared ancestry. We are one species, and the fact that they try to block and censor somebody like you that is just pointing that out is sickening. But this is why people are so upset, as we blame men or women, because there are a lot of men that blame women for everything, and it's like a cult, and I'm sick of it as well. I mean, let's admit it. We've been fighting with each other for a long time. It's stupid. It's like cancer. Humanity's going through a crisis. Cancer rates in children are up 10,000%. Diabetes type 2 is up 3,000%. All these issues, we're in crisis together. And instead of panicking and blaming each other, we need to really talk about it. And again, I say this, your crime is you lovingly bring people together and unify us as humans to fix it. And there are people that want to exacerbate the problems. They don't want to fix it. They want crisis management. That's how they control people. But we're in a crisis. Let's recognize that. And the answer is celebrating women, celebrating men, celebrating families, and then loving anybody else that wants to claim there's something else. That's part of creativity. But when it gets too extreme, it becomes a cancer that kills the original core of what we are as humanity goes through these changes. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I completely agree. And I think it's really scary because they are trying to make an example of me, that if you go off script and if you challenge the status quo in the way that I did with the red pill, you will be silenced, you will be smeared.
But let me guess. I bet you're selling more DVDs than ever.
Well, that's the strange thing, because even though apparently we have this gag order in the U.S., in May, we were the top-selling movie on YouTube, ahead of Guardians of the Galaxy, Moana, and Rogue One, the Star Wars film. I mean, we've had you haven't seen this kind of success in sales from a documentary in a long time, and yet the mainstream media won't touch it.
Well, I've been talking to folks, highest levels of the government, highest levels of banking. They want out of this New World Order. And that's what they said. They said they recognize it's an illusion. This bullying is all an illusion. Nobody launched a boycott of Starbucks when they said they were going to hire a bunch of Islamic refugees. Everyone just spontaneously did it in a tipping point. So, I mean, I knew your film was a hit, but I didn't know almost outdoing Rogue One, which, by the way, is a great film. I love seeing a powerful woman in that role. It's a great movie, but it's about men and women together in victory. And I see Hollywood starting to now get away from this total feminist narrative. I love seeing Wonder Woman. I love seeing women empowered. Just don't make it at the expense of men.
Yeah, I agree. And currently, this week, we are the top-selling film in Australia on YouTube, as well as Google Play for documentaries. I was just in Australia for about 2 weeks doing a screening and press tour there, and they have a big hill to climb over there regarding gender politics.
Why don't they get the Streisand Effect? I mean, you know about the Streisand Effect.
Oh, yes, it's worked very well in my favor.
I mean, just look at where I'm at. And now the articles are, oh, I'm bashing Megyn Kelly because she's a woman. No, nobody in media ever lied to me. They sent the like her. The Nightline guy said, I'm doing a hard interview. I'm coming after you. And he did hit me on some real points, but he's a real journalist. With her, it was just all lies. It's not that she's a woman. She's a liar.
Well, I am looking forward to seeing your interview, her edit, as well as your unedited interview.
Well, ours is just the audio, but I mean, it was just like, I mean, I knew that she was lying when I was like, I believe Sandy Hook happened. And then like 2 minutes later, why are you saying the parents lied about their dead kids? And I went, Megan, I just told you my answer. no, you're saying gays deserve to be killed. I mean, it was just like, I was just like, whoa. I was like, I don't know what she's going to put out, but it was like, whoa.
That, you know, that's why I love new media, like your show. I was also on Dave Rubin and Stefan Molyneux and Steven Crowder, because you do live stream, live interviews and edited interviews on mainstream media. That's what you have to watch out for. And that's how I was smeared and slandered in Australia, was on this show called The Project. I had over a 15-minute interview, and they edited it down to 5 minutes and completely, you know, took out all of my responses to the lies about the film. And in their edited intro of my film, they include these lies about the film, about how it's funded or how many people I interviewed.
Well, here's one of their favorite tactics. They get you in a house with this 90 degrees, you're sweating, Megan's back there, light on her perfect, light under me. And then they go, let's take a break. And then I see them focusing the camera while I'm mopping my brow to make it look like I'm nervous and got up from the interview. I'm expecting that they're going to claim I got up from the interview, because I saw them like thumbs upping when I went to the bathroom and like was mopping my head, and they were like focusing, and I just knew what they were going to do. I mean, it's so ridiculous.
See, you know, and I'm an editor. I edited the full Red Pill film, and that's so upsetting to hear how editors and mainstream shows use editing to manipulate the public. It's very easy to do, and you know, it comes down to the ethics in journalism.
We don't do that, because I'm not going to sink to their level. I mean, whenever we have people on that disagree that make a good point, I show it, because that's who we are. It's not like we're even perfect. I couldn't get in the mindset of like deceiving people.
Yeah.
But that's what's great about the discipline of being live, like you just said. Being live 3-4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, it's like a discipline. Your brain works quicker. You know, you just get this instinct to tell the truth.
Yeah. And, you know, people who do tell the truth don't need to rely on editing, because everything you say, you know, as long as you tap into your own truth and memory of how things happen, how events happen, then you don't have to, you know, oh, well, that's not correct, that came out wrong. You don't have to edit it out.
Well, that's the thing is, I'm not arrogant. I'm the opposite, because I've been so blessed in my life. And half the time I can't even listen to my own show. I'm just being honest about, like, Nico. I hired Nico immediately. He had a great record as a head producer. But also he said, no, I think your voice is kind of annoying, and I disagree with a lot of what you say, but I think overall the message. And I was like, well, you're hired. I'm sick of Yes Man. He's been the best producer we ever had. But it's true. I mean, I see myself as annoying, but the heart is there. And the fact that, you know, I go into this stuff with like a child's heart about things and don't try to calculate. They now have the CIA and everybody else thinking I'm like the master calculator. It's all over the news. But it's not that. It's approaching life like just a normal person with your, like the greatest thing Trump ever said was, you know, I used to think about things and be too complex, but as soon as I became shallow and went with my instinct, it was the greatest moment of my life because it was so complex. They said that doesn't make sense. No, it's true. We're so powerful, our first gut approximation with a database of knowledge is generally way better than trying to overthink stuff, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like woman's intuition.
Yeah.
About women that pick the men that build the civilization together. Without women's intuition, we're destroyed. So why is 80% of marketing targeting women? Because women are already king.
Yeah.
And of course, your film lays that out. That's why they hate it.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, feminism really does have just the blinders on, tunnel vision, that they only want to look at how women are disadvantaged and men are privileged. But there is the flip side as well, and I think we need to look at that.
Men are privileged to die 6 years earlier on average. Men are, like you said, 90% of the workplace deaths, men. It's expected of men to expend themselves. These men are expendable.
And, you know, so in the Red Pill, we do talk about male disposability, including war deaths, workplace deaths, suicide rates. Across the world, it's about 80% of all suicides are men, every country. And shorter life expectancy, all these things. But what the men's rights activists are saying, they're not trying to say, you know, 50% of women should die in military deaths. They're not trying to say that. But what they are saying is that we need to look at the big picture regarding gender. Both genders make sacrifices, especially when it's a family unit. Obviously, a stay-at-home mom is going to make a lot of sacrifices as well as, as well as the father who's going outside the home to provide for the family.
To work on electrical lines. And again, we're one species. It's so obvious, but no one says it. We're the species. Again, we don't look at like dogs and say, that's male, that's female, they're fighting with each other. It's the species. It's what we developed into. We'll be back with our amazing guest. The film is theredpillmovie.com. Get your copy today. Mike Cernovich is coming up. All right, final segment with Cassie Jaye, that Mike Cernovich is coming up. Cassie Jaye, theredpillmovie.com. Get it on Amazon, wherever. But don't go to Amazon. Bezos is funding the globalists. $600 million to bring down Trump from the CIA. Go get it from redpillmovie.com. That way it might cost $1 more or whatever because Amazon undercuts everybody. I mean, they're bigger than Walmart now. They're more cancerous. It's so evil. It's eating Walmart. So more and more, I think I'm going to stop selling stuff on Amazon. I mean, because it's time to boycott. It's time to support folks who are promoting free speech. Get the film today. I'm going to call Cernovich or whoever I call. I'm going to order 10,000 of this film. This is the film I want to promote. I want to push this film. I want to thank Anthony Gucciardi and others for recommending me to see the film a few weeks ago, and then I'd forgotten about it, and then so much goes on, and then Nico's like, hey, she's on the show. So Cassie Jaye, in the last minute or two, other points you'd like to impart to folks?
Oh, well, as you're talking about platforms, the only platform to decline the Red Pill movie is Netflix, which I think is very interesting. But you can find us on all other platforms, including Hulu, iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Vudu, Apple TV, everywhere. So, yeah, Netflix did decline the film.
And notice they force-fed Amy Schumer that got half a star, so they got rid of the star system on things they know people are sick of. I mean, Amy Schumer, they're trying to make the new sex symbol who's anti-male, anti-female.
Yeah, you know, that's part of the hypocrisy I see in feminism is that if they were truly about supporting women, then why have they worked so hard to silence me in my film? I actually won a Women in Film Award for the Red Pill movie in Hollywood a couple weeks ago. Mike Cernovich was there with me to accept the award. And so I know that there are women out there and feminist women who do see the film as being valuable to the discussion of gender equality. But, you know, the radical ones and the extremists are trying to silence it.
Well, I got 3 daughters, and I want total gender equality. And just God bless you for what you're doing. Congratulations on the film and your success in swimming upstream.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful. True trailblazer. They fear women so much when women realize they're running the show. That's not patronizing. It's true.